What's up, guys? It's me, Lumos Theromax, and I'm here to hit you guys with another absolute banger with Green Lantern issue 10 out of the GL 2021 series. And things keep getting absolutely crazier. John is absolutely wildin' in this story, and things only get crazier with his story arc as time goes on. So that being said, sit back, subscribe to the coffee shop content creators as well as my other homies down low, and let's get started, Lanterns. So, to start off our tale, we start off on Corex Deshar throne world of this group called the Emerald Guard. And according to the two text boxes, it appears that there's two Green Lanterns discussing things, but as we slowly come up closer to the scene, which looks like a place befitting of New Genesis or the New Gods, we slowly begin to find out that these aren't necessarily Green Lanterns, though they do wear some sort of weird, crazy garb, and it seems that they are preparing for a war of some kind. And it turns out John Stewart is actually leading this entire group of the Emerald Guard, and he and this other person seem to be prepping for this ultimate battle with the Mad God who's been in the last few comic books. Isaac, that's what his name was. So, like, he's been prepping for this huge battle with Isaac, so much so he's assembled this massive group of armies, the ones who allegedly were being used like cattle or chattel in the last comic book. But in the middle of him giving this really like brave and bold speech about how they're going to overcome Isaac and his evil forces, a portal opens up behind John Stewart and immediately grabs him as everyone here begins to freak out and panic as to what's happening to John. And they specifically reference the idea of future state here. And that's kind of interesting, but we'll come back to that. So, as John gets immediately grabbed, suddenly we're back in the current moment where we left off in our last chapter of Green Lantern, issue 9, where John just caused the Godstorm and is still fighting with both Isaac and his forces. And Isaac is literally just throwing hands with both him and Lonar at the same time. And John's really confused because he genuinely felt like he was living whatever life he was as a result of Isaac's actions in whatever was going on before. And the battle rages on as Lonar immediately reaches out to John and tells him, yo, dude, the Godstorm, that's still happening. Come to your senses, John. It's expanding. It'll destroy absolutely everything. Do you hear me? You have to answer me. And John, as he's trying to ponder his question, immediately finds himself in some sort of weird state yet again, where he's overlooking basically everything in the entire cosmos. And so much so, he quite literally resurrects Katmatui, his dead wife, seemingly from nowhere. But as he tells her, whoa, you're not actually dead, you never were dead, he's like, bro, I am a god now, I can pretty much do anything. And she asks him, like, yo, what's going on? Where exactly are we? And he says, well, this is home. I built everything here myself. And we get a sick splash of, like, the entire cosmos. And she asks him, how is this possible? And he says, oh, long story. There was this insane mission with a new god. I essentially, like, built these things called the dark sectors out of hypertime, and that's what this is. Just little branches off the main timeline, splinters that basically are bits and pieces of absolutely everywhere. And with this logic, he says, I can fix up every single problem that ever existed. As a result of this, because I can always go back to hypertime and just grab a fragment of it and replace everything that was wrong. And he says, regardless of this, there's always a fight. And he says, this one time this Godstorm was unleashed upon me, and it was so bad it was going to blow up the universe, and I just ate it. Or it ate me, whatever, I have control, so it doesn't really matter. And of course, he says, but basically either way it doesn't matter because hypertime is pretty much whatever I want it to be. And Kamatui kind of flies off and is looking around and trying to kind of figure out what's going on here, and seeing a lot of the people who were dead literally brought back to life. But then, just like last time, a pair of hands kind of opens up out of a portal from behind him, and he immediately gets dragged back to the present during the events of the Godstorm. And John Stewart is just as confused by this, because every time this seems to happen, he is quite literally living and experiencing that potential timeline through hypertime. And Lonar essentially looks back to him and says, yo, dude, you have to choose a fate. You have to choose your future state, because your body is ascending and is utilizing the storm around us. If you don't accept this energy, it'll expand and then destroy the cosmos. Now, the important thing here to remember is we're no longer in Earth, which is just like a physical universe, right? Whenever they're referring to the cosmos, or like the universe from their perspective, that's everything in existence. That's everything under what we knew as the source wall, but as this new whatever kind of barrier that sits out there. So essentially, he's saying, bro, everything's gonna be gone if you don't get your shit together. And John, in the middle of this, is throwing hands with Isaac still, and Isaac's like freaking out. He's like, bro, you guys took everything from me. I just want all the new gods to return for Light Ray, for all the people who died. And Lonar looks at him and says, bro, you have to choose. There's not enough time. We can't sit around and we can't screw off with Isaac as time goes on. And John decides to make his decision as he ponders that question, choose what? And Lonar says again, choose your future state. And as he looks through all the potential future states he has to offer, he looks at one and says the Sage, which is the second story we visited, the Lord, the Soldier, which was the first situation we visited, or potential timeline, or the Savage. And he immediately chooses. And when he chooses, John ascends to the max capabilities he has and begins to harness the true power of the storm. And as he does, he immediately looks out and begins to question as to whether or not he's directly looking at the source. Now, to give you guys a clue of how ridiculous this is in the current moment, if that's true, is that there's no source wall, which means the source is not like directly located on the source wall anymore. We've got statements that the source actually can sit above the omniverse, or like the sixth dimension entirely, which is something really interesting to consider. So if that's true, John here has some pretty crazy things. But on top of this, he sees something past that, which just so happens to be this secondary problem that's been building in the background within the second part of the story. I actually left off on it because the last issue was kind of boring. But that being said, this really powerful guardian of the universe essentially decided that whatever they were doing throughout the entire history of the Guardians of the Universe with the Owens or the Maltusians, that it was negative, and that they were directly impacting life throughout the cosmos by stifling magic. Because way back in the day, the Guardians of the Universe rounded up all of the magic in the universe and threw it into a star, and that power became called the Star Heart, and has been guarded rather precariously by a group of heroes on Earth, or the Guardians themselves, for quite some time. Now, he essentially rolls up on the remnants of what was the forces of the GLC, because during this entire saga, he actually turned off or destroyed the central power battery and destroyed a lot of the destroyed a lot of what was their defensive forces, including the Guardians, by spreading their molecules, their energy form molecules across the cosmos. And this was his plan, to essentially ruin the governmental structure throughout the universe so that there would be more room for magic to kind of live and give birth and thrive. And the only person here who really can do much is Jo Moline, because she's the only person with an active Green Lantern ring for some reason. This is yet to be explained, why she's the only person who still has one. However, everyone here is getting absolutely thrashed by this rogue guardian, empowered by the powers of the Starheart, as well as other magical amps, and the Guardians immediately roll up. Finally done with whatever trap that Koyos had, essentially, this Guardian had trapped them within. And as the main Guardian rolls up, the brother to Koyos, they essentially say, yo, you need to turn away from this dude, it's not too late. And Koyos looks back and says, bro, like, we are the problem, we are the issue here. And she says, yo, we talked about this a while back. You accepted our logic. You lied to us. You lied to me. And he says, he says, you understood that, like, you just all had reasoning. You didn't really listen to me more so than anything. You just kind of did it. And Neos, what was her name? Demosini looks back and says, yeah, well, I hope you had reason. I hope you could have trusted us. But unfortunately, you look at us and you turn us into the very liars that this universe doesn't like. He says, I forged a new power ring and gave it to a random human because I thought this shit might have happened. And I gave that power ring to Jomolene and sent her to the far side of the galaxy, to the dark sector, to kind of have her avoid any of the shenanigans that you were going to start. I also sent Hal Jordan away just for this kind of situation, and John Stewart to keep them all directly out of the path of whatever it is you were planning, because I knew you were scheming some stupid ass shit. And it was actually me who projected all of our brothers and sisters into our energy form, saving us from the destruction of the central power battery. And he says, and she goes on to say, I won't let you destroy this universe. I ain't having that shit. And he looks back and says, bro, kill it. No, I'm saving it. I'm actually saving magic and its concept within our universe. That's pretty obvious. And then this is where things get really spicy. He looks back to them and absolutely blasts everyone and says, the source means for this universe to live and evolve. It is meant to be a dance of magic and matter. And he goes on to say that the Guardians themselves have stifled magic, even maimed it, just to continue the idea of order through force. And as a result of that, the cosmos has been splitting and cracking over and over again as it dies. And in his eyes, he sees them as the rot at the center of that problem, the blight that the universe needs to be cured of, essentially. And so the entire universe sends its forces in at the anti-Guardian with hopes of putting them down. And during this, bro, we get straight out of the fucking Avengers, okay? We get portals opening up, and everybody from everywhere in the entire universe is coming together to fight this anti-Guardian alongside the former Green Lanterns who are now wielding Iron Man-esque armor, the Guardians, and the last remaining Green Lantern on the battlefield, Jomolene, in a desperate attempt to put down this guy. And he immediately just charges up and says all of these major places, all of these ruling factions within the universe, they are all the problem. And he nukes everybody nearby and just absolutely decimates the forces that are present, including Jomolene, who absolutely has her shields and everything fried to the point of breaking. Even her suit is deteriorating at the attack that she just received from the anti-Guardian. But her ring registers somebody communicating with her through her ring somehow, and it says Lantern Moline. And this is odd because there should be no other Green Lantern rings active currently. And it says you missed a check-in. And just then, Hal Jordan rolls up, bro, with the whole Justice League out of a giant Dr. Fate totem. And it appears the Justice League was also called in to deal with the threat of the Anti-Guardian and whatever threat he poses from here on out. So, that being said, a lot of questions being asked at the end of this story, to be 100% sure. Was this Guardian contacted by the Presence itself to help unstifle how controlling the Guardians were on the universe? I don't know, maybe that was just his biased interpretation of what's going on here. Did John genuinely see the source, and is John genuinely becoming like the most powerful Green Lantern, man? We're there, dude. If he's flat out looking at the source in the present day, like I don't even know what exactly that means for him. Obviously it's not a raw AP feat, but it obviously demonstrates that they're trying to place him potentially even like high-end Kyle, who transcended the source. Given it was within the source wall, I do feel like that's safely higher, but oh man, we are literally coming up on that moment, ladies and gentlemen. Green Lantern issue 10 out of the 2021 run. It's getting lit, boys. Hopefully we get more source memes down the way. But tell me what you think down below. Be sure to subscribe to both myself and the coffee shop content creators. And man, keep up the likes for another video down the road in 1 month discussing issue 11 with Hal Jordan and friends coming back. Hopefully we get Hal staying around for more than 1 or 2 issues this time, guys. We'll catch you next time, Lanterns. Later.